It goes something like this. Hello? And then you can hear her pull the phone away, and there's a minute and a half, 2 minutes of fumbling. Adjusting the volume, finding the hearing aid, and then Tillie would come back on and the conversation would continue. Very few of you, though, have had a conversation with Tillie between 7 p.m. and 7:30. This was sacred. Sacred time. Wheel of Fortune time. You call during this time, and you will have the shortest conversation in history. Those of you who know the show, Pat Sajak gets on there, there's an opening puzzle. It is solved, and Pat turns to the contestants. He goes, tell us a little bit about yourself, and that's my job here today. I get to tell you a little bit about Tillie. This was somewhat of an easy job. Tillie was very organized. She has memoirs. She wrote it all out. And so it was a huge blessing to peruse the material and find out about Tillie. So many things I read I did not know. A lot of lies have been exposed. In every step of her story, we can see where it forms a little bit of her character and how we know Grandma Tillie. This is how it would start. She grew up in Ferriton, Saskatchewan, not Kamsack. Our whole life it was Kamsack. She didn't grow up in Kamsack. Ferriton, Saskatchewan. That's natural, right? We always upgrade. I'm not from Winfield, I'm from Kelowna. We always attach ourselves to the big metropolis. She was no different. She said she was the youngest of 11 children. I thought 5, 6, maybe. 11 children. I love this part. She says, I was the youngest and I was not spoiled. Grandma, I was the youngest and I was not spoiled. I get you. I learned reading her memoirs that she was not thrilled with the name Matilda. This shocked me. 5 years ago, we had a son, and if he was a girl, her name would have been Molly Matilda, and now I read she didn't even like the name. We dodged a bullet. In her memoirs, Tillie describes her childhood as taking care of her ailing mother, taking care of 4 cows, and doing many other chores. One of my favorite stories involves Tillie being told by her father, you're not going to school today. That would have crushed Tillie. You get to pick potatoes today. Tillie took her pail, went out to the potato patch, dropped her pail, went to school. She came home, grabbed the pail, as she tells it, she finished her chores, and her dad just smiled. I doubt that's what her dad did. But I love that story. The next part of her story was awesome. Tillie had a dream from a young age to become a teacher. And growing up where she did, there was a lot of heroes in her life that had to come forth to make that dream happen. Her mother, constant encouragement for Tillie, as she writes. She would say, never mind to Layla, which I guess is a term of affection. You will go to school. Her father sells a cow, gets the money for her to take a train so she can finish grade 11, 12. Her brother, as brothers do, pays for their room and board, her room and board. She lives with a family in Saskatchewan. Sounds like a little bit of an upper crust group. They teach her how to use a fork and a knife. I wish YouTube was around. Imagine Tillie using that fork and knife for the first time, apparently. Then there was a superintendent. The superintendent who gave her a call when she was 17 years old and said, I got a school for you, I got a classroom. The other teacher left from a nervous breakdown. This classroom is yours. What a gift that was. It's amazing reading her memoirs. You know those times were tough. Growing up in Veriden and with an ailing mother and just the dynamics of being a German family during that time. Things had to be tough. But Tillie's ability to just highlight these gifts, these amazing encouragements that people gave her. And I wonder if that's where Tillie got her generosity from, right? Always food, always money. Well, there was money, maybe not always. Always money, a place to stay. We almost all lived with her, and Tillie gave her time. Shirley told me the other day how much time she gave to raise us, to help out. She gave time. Back to the story. Tillie arrives at this school, 28 children, many around her age. And it was a big house, and it had a furnace, the harsh winters of Saskatchewan. And the only recollection that Tillie tells me in her memoirs is that they had the best ball team around. They swept the district. She loved games. Even from that age, she loved games. You've played Spite Malice, you've played Backgammon, you've played Drak. You've played games with Tillie. Scrabble, of course. As Tillie continues with the story, this is where she really gets into fast-forward mode. She met Bud. She married Bud. She moved to Kamsack. There's where Kamsack comes in. She had Shirley. She was pregnant with Joyce in the belly, and they decide we're driving to Kelowna. A road trip. If you know Tillie, she was a big fan of the road trip. Road trips with Shirley on treacherous roads. Road trip to Kitwanga. Road trip with Arsley across Canada. Rumor has it that she went on several road trips to Wreck Beach in Vancouver. Unconfirmed. She loved the adventure. She arrives in Kelowna, and she needs to finally get her teaching degree, even though she's been teaching all these years. She goes to UBC, and Tillie tells of a very hard time of her life, a time of discouragement. She had Joyce and Shirley with her. She goes to UBC in Vancouver, and she has to take courses. She fails. She says, I'm going to pack it in. That's kind of funny because she's going to join the packing house. She's going to pack it in and join the packing house. She can't do it. Another hero shows up on the scene, Lil Padwin. And if I don't have this name right, it's because Tillie's handwriting is a little bit loopy. Lil Padwin, she said, Grandma, you're not giving up. And you're taking a course, and Tillie succeeded, and she got that energy up again, and then the rest is history. 31 years of teaching. This speaks to her grit, her determination. Nothing got in her way. Becoming a teacher, you want a new TV, you want a ridiculous cabin, you want the newest salad spinner. Life is short. You call Sears and you make it happen. You make it happen. All right, everything I've talked about, I have no memories of. I have not shown up yet. So much of her life without me. But for the next number of years, that's where I have my memories. Kelowna, Kitwanga, the cabin, Disneyland, Mr. Mike's Ribs, cream puffs, go-karts, card games, water fights, sleepovers. My memories are vast. I have lots of them. And I imagine we're all sitting here with this boatload of memories, and we need to talk after. I need to hear your memories. But I had this idea. A lot of students here missing school. I want you to imagine some geometry, a circle. Okay? Now on the outside of the circle are people in this room. You're her friends, students, past students. You're members of her church. You are those she taught and took care of. And you have your memories. Tillie has taken care of your children. She has taught your children. And I should mention that Tillie speaks so highly of Madison, Diane, Ginny. She loved that time with you. She has taught you. It seems like Tillie taught everyone, right? Barack Obama taught him. Don Cherry, he went to Kitwanga. You worshiped with her. You studied the Bible with her. You prayed for her and with her. You certainly ate with her. You played Scrabble. You solved the world's problems. You visited her cabin. You overdosed on stories about how amazing her grandson was. That's good, because I wrote down here, pause and acknowledge the crowd. So. That's good. You guys are fitting in nice here. She loved having your company. It was the more, the merrier. I think of friends like Phyllis. Phyllis, are you here? Hi, Phyllis. Good to see you. Phyllis, you are a great friend. Thank you so much. The car rides, fixing her hair, keeping her glamorous. We couldn't have done it without you. Back to the circle. The circle helps me not get too emotional, you see. The next rung, as we go towards the center of the circle, we have Grandma's family. We have her grandchildren. We have her great-grandkids who did such a wonderful job. We have her added family, Leon, Mark, Kelly, Mark's kids, nieces, nephews. We're at that part of the circle. You guys have your memories. The excessively wet kisses. Ugh. We loved them, but we didn't. The wish book catalogs. The spoiling can never and will never be duplicated. You were her treasures. Of course, the Wheel of Fortune at maximum volumes, high as it could go. Letters signed with hugs and kisses, not just 3 and 3, 10 and 10. 10 X's, 10 O's. For a lady with arthritis, this is great commitment. Heart-to-heart chats, and how many behind-the-scene prayers. We have our memories. We're moving in towards the center. On our next level, there was Alan Jackson. Let's face it, he was closer to the center than we were. I can't explain it. He taught her a lot about living and a little about love. Let's move on. Closer to the center, we have Shirley and Joyce, her daughters, her treasures. She loved you guys so much. The void will be great for you. For years, Tillie's was the center. As you moved back, you rebounded back to the house. Check-ins, errands, meals, dancing with the stars. You did life together. It seems normal these days for parents to die alone. That was not Tillie's case. It was because of you. Joyce, the virtuoso salad maker. She loved your salads. Shirley, the scrumptious dishes, your photos, your stories. She loved them. In fact, to honor Tillie, the food needs to keep on coming. You know where we live. All right. So we're past the friends, the grandchildren, the daughters, and Alan Jackson, of course. We've arrived at the center, and who else would be at the center but Tillie? Every photo we take, there she is. What would Tillie say if she were here? She would say 3 things. She would say, "Speak louder, I can't hear you." Got it, Grandma. She would say, "Why aren't you eating yet?" "Soon, Grandma. 20 minutes, we're a little behind, my fault." And thirdly, she would say something that we don't have to guess. I don't have to make up. She wrote it herself. She says this: "I have left this earthly existence. Accept my death. Carry on. I have gone into mansions of eternal life. I am at peace with our Father. I have no pain. I hope this helps you a little bit. I am loved and I love you all." Those are her words. I find it interesting going through the memoirs, career success, family, her adventurous spirit, her determination, yet she writes that she reaches a point where she felt lost. She lacked foundation. There were elements of her life that were meaningless. And it was only when she put her faith into Jesus Christ that she says in her own words, she says that it was the greatest decision she ever made. Now I know there's a lot of people here who are involved with that. I have to name, there's a lady in Victoria, nameless, who was involved. There was Ruth, the entire Alliance Church, the Women in Touch group. I know there's some of you here. Anne, Pastor Leon, Fred, Irene, and so many others who are here today. You helped Tillie in that time. You helped her so she could say, "My heart is not troubled. I am not afraid." If Tillie were here, I guess that's the 4th thing, she would say, "I'm not in the center alone." One of my favorite stories of Tillie is she was in the hospital, not this last time, but in years past. And one of you visited her, and you kept saying to her, "Emmanuel, Emmanuel, God is with us." Tillie told me that story every time we met, it seemed. And that is so comforting now. God with us. God with Tillie, and Tillie with God. In light of this circle, I hope you're still with me with the circle, there's Tillie in the middle. Joyous, peace, victory. And I would suggest that she invites us to let that seep out into all of our areas of the circle. That joy is available for us to ponder and to share. I can only conclude that our Father has welcomed her home. There's a celebration in heaven. There's pierogies. There's no sauerkraut, though, because they don't belong in heaven. There's a great feast. There's such music. There's a lot of this going on. There's joy and dancing. It's polka time. Dance on, Tillie, dance on.
Thank you, family. That has been amazing. If I asked you what you noticed about those pictures, I think we mostly would all say the same thing. Did you notice that Tillie was touching people almost the whole time? Hugging or cuddling or had her head on their shoulders. Tillie was a touchy-feely person, and she loved to be close to people. What a tribute we have had this morning for Tillie Brown. A life well lived, a life that influenced us. And saying goodbye to someone we love so deeply is heart-wrenching. Doesn't matter how old, she was so dear. We grieve the loss of Tillie Brown. She was our dear friend, but she was your mom and your grandma and your great-grandma, your aunt. She just meant a lot to each person here in this room. When I asked around about Tillie Brown and what people remembered, everyone had a story or a word that they used to describe Tillie, and most of them have been used. She was a woman of deep compassion and a woman who spoke her mind, for sure. A woman of adventure, a woman of determination. She had the ability and stability to face adversity and come through. She was resourceful. There was a word that wasn't used. I think she was bodacious. Do you know what that means? It means audacious and bold and vivacious and just embraced life in the full. She lived life with vigor, with generosity and fun, laughter and spontaneity. Tillie was one of those unforgettable people that years down the road we will never forget. And that's why some of you here who were her students in grade 1, that's why you're here. She left a mark on your life. One of the things that wasn't said in the tribute was that she apparently taught Walter grade. Is that true? That's pretty cool. Tillie was very appreciative of everything and her surroundings. And she was passionate and demonstrative, and we all know about her sloppy kisses. But she loved nature. She loved kids. She was a lover of her world and the people in it. But interwoven through her later life, there were intangible qualities, almost unexplainable, kind of like a river that runs deep and real. There was something that gave her wisdom and stability. And she would be the first to admit that she was far from perfect. But the way she embraced life just gave us pause to think, what is Tillie Brown really about? It didn't take long in reading through some of her journals that the depth of Tillie Brown flowed from her personal love affair with Jesus Christ. It was because of him that she could face life with such amazing exuberance and determination. Jesus was her best friend and her close companion. He strengthened her, he helped her, he carried her through the heartache and the tears of her life. And as I looked through her personal notes and her very well-marked Bible, I got a picture of a woman who was committed to love and follow Jesus Christ the best she knew how. And more than anything, she wanted you, her friends and family, to know about this faith and about this hope. She wanted you to know about her lasting, the depth of strength and joy that she had no matter what was happening, no matter what the health issue. It takes a long time to get our heads around the fact that someone so alive as Tillie, even in her latter days, is no longer here. How is that possible? How's it possible that she's not coming back? That cute little house and that smell of the food and the laughter. Is it possible? Yes, Tillie is not coming back. But if she were here today, she would tell us that the hope that she had hoped for, being forever in heaven with Jesus, is real. Hope is an amazing word. It's full of promise and it's full of expectation. This hope of Tillie's was not wishful thinking or pie in the sky by and by. It is a reality that she held onto and is now experiencing. Hope is kind of a strange word. It has a couple of meanings. One is kind of like it's a strong wish or a desire, like I hope it doesn't rain tomorrow, or I hope you come over next week. I really, really strongly wish this would happen, and that's what we often think of as hope. But there's another definition of hope, and it is a solid knowing. It is perfect faith that something is going to happen, and it does. For instance, did you worry this morning whether the sun was going to rise? You planned your whole day around the fact the sun was going to get up when it always does and go down when it always does. We count our years. We live by the fact that the sun is always there. We don't hope it will get up in the morning. It'll rise. We know it will. And this solid knowing is the kind of hope that we have and Tillie has in Jesus Christ being real, being sovereign, being eternal, and being the one we can count on. In John 14, 1-6, Jesus talks to his disciples who were very troubled about their eternal future. And Jesus in this passage gives them eternal hope. Hope that will last forever. Listen to what he says. Do not let your heart be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. For I go to prepare a place for you. If I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And you know the way where I am going. Thomas said to him, Lord, we do not know where you are going. How do we know the way? Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. Jesus makes it clear that there is an eternal home that he is preparing and that there is a way to get there. There is